Hi everyone, this is my Erosion Bottles experiment. I began with the plan. I asked how does soil and land cover impact infiltration and runoff. I went through the online site and played around with some of the types of landforms, and I decided to test the grassy flatlands, wetlands using muddy soil, and the barren area using like sand, dirt, gravel. So I did come up with my plan. I made my 3 bottles. Don't laugh. I didn't have any sand in the house, so I used kitty litter. I dug up some dirt and I add a little water to make some mud. And then I also dug up the top of the grass and put a nice little grass bed in the last bottle. Of course, I didn't go through the plan yet, so I had to create and improve. The standard that I came up with that would fit best with this activity would be the 4 ESS2-1 Earth systems, because it talked about the effects of weathering, erosion by water, ice, wind, or vegetation. So that all kind of plays into the fact that we're talking about different kind of landforms. We're using water. Now, we're not really working with wind or ice, but if we did take this experiment up a notch, we could definitely play around with those things. So I found that standard. So when I went ahead with my experiment, I have A, B, and C, the barren, wetlands, and flat grass. So I started obviously with my 3 bottles, added a good amount of water, and my cups filled up. My flat grassland bottle did not come out as filtered as expected. If you did look at the Erosion Bottles page that was put on the main content page, it came up like clear, but I'm also digging up grass here. I didn't grow it because we didn't have the time, so it would have been a different outcome, I believe, if I would have grown my own grass instead of digging up the topsoil. But it is mostly clear compared to the other 2. Now, A looks very clear, but having used kitty litter, I know a lot of that like very clear bluish gray water is actually some of the dust running off of the kitty litter and also parts from the gravel. And then if you do look at the overview, you can see that it did not catch any of like the big particles that came out the bottle, so it wasn't catching any of those things. While if you do look at C, again, the flat grassland, while it does have a brown twinge to it, it's more clear than B, which is very, muddy. You can see all of the mud gathering at the bottom. So, finishing off the plan, the engineering design process, I did go ahead and create my experiment, and to improve, I would have grown my own grass, but a thicker grass coverage, less muddy underlayer. Again, I dug up the grass, so there was a big, thick, muddy area. And then also, I think I would have added a rocky or the barren layer for further filtration, because this would grab even more particles maybe to begin. And I think I'm pulling that just from another experiment I had to do in the past where we had to filter water. One of the layers was actually using bits of pebbles, because it does aid in the filtration process. So looking at this entire activity, engaging it here, the activity does plan, develop, and uses models to carry out investigations. So for science and engineering, both of those are highlighted. A website is used to simulate and test theories. So we are becoming aware of the web of technological systems on which society depends. So this is kind of like putting it in you were putting in examples and testing the different kinds using that website. And then encourages appropriate use of multiple kinds of tools in order to build models and measure data. So we took very loose data, but we used those 3 bottles and kind of looked at how the runoff was gathered. That's still data, and we did build those models. So that was my overall look at this activity, and hope you enjoyed.